You showed up every year. You learned the systems no one else bothered to learn. You built relationships that took a decade to build. You became the person they called when something broke, and the colleague who joined 2 years ago is earning more than you. Staying at the same company is not loyalty rewarded. It is loyalty consumed by the organization at your expense. By the end of this video, you are going to understand the exact mechanism that ensures the longer you stay, the less leverage you accumulate. And once you see it, you will never look at a performance review, a raise conversation, or a colleague's sudden departure the same way again. Here's what is actually happening inside your organization. Every year, your company allocates a salary budget. That budget is a percentage of what they are already paying you, typically 2 to 4%, sometimes 3, sometimes inflation indexed, sometimes less. That number is not derived from what the role pays externally. It is not a reflection of what another company would pay to hire you today. It is calculated from a base that was set years ago in a different market when you accepted an offer and stopped negotiating. Meanwhile, the company is hiring externally, and external candidates negotiate at market rate. They have competing offers, they have leverage, they have a number that reflects what the role is worth right now, not what it was worth 7 years ago. This creates a structural gap, and it widens every year you stay. It's called internal pay compression, and it is not a malfunction. It is the natural result of two separate systems, one for retaining existing employees, one for acquiring new ones that run in parallel with no mechanism to equalize them. Picture this. You joined the company 7 years ago at a salary that was fair at the time. You received raises every year, 3% one year, 2.5% the next, 3% the year after that. Reasonable, consistent, unremarkable. 2 years ago, the company hired someone into a role equivalent to yours. They negotiated, they came to the table with a competing offer, the company met the market. That person is now earning $14,000 more per year than you, doing functionally the same job because their starting point was reset to the current market rate and yours never was. You did not lose a negotiation. The system ran exactly as designed, and it's running in every organization you've ever worked for. The calendar year turns, the budget cycle opens, the raise percentage is applied, and the gap between what you earn and what the role commands externally grows by another fraction. Here's the first hidden consequence. Somewhere in your organization, a quiet assumption has formed about you. It does not appear in any document, it is never articulated in a meeting, but it operates behind every decision that affects your career. The assumption is this: you are going nowhere. That belief has a price attached to it, and you are the one paying it. When the organization has concluded that you will not leave, your leverage collapses. You cannot credibly threaten departure. You cannot use an external offer as a negotiating tool, because accepting it would feel like a betrayal of everything you've built, and everyone in the room understands that, including you. Your manager does not think about your retention, because there's nothing to retain. You're already there. You'll be there next year. So the retention conversation goes to the person who just replied to a recruiter. The high visibility project goes to someone whose engagement is flagged as a risk. The development investment happens with the person the company is afraid of losing. You, the reliable one, the decade-in employee, the institutional memory, are the safest asset on the roster. Safe assets get maintained, not invested in. Here's the second consequence. This one is more expensive. Your skills have been quietly optimized for this company. You know the internal processes, the legacy systems, the unwritten rules, the shortcuts that only work here. You know which stakeholder to loop in before a decision formally reaches committee. You know the history of why things were built the way they were built. That knowledge is genuinely valuable inside these walls. Outside them, it's largely invisible. The external market does not pay for familiarity with your company's proprietary systems. It pays for capability that transfers, skills that travel, that apply to problems the new organization has not yet encountered, that arrive without a learning curve attached. After 10 years in one place, the gap between your internal value and your external market value has quietly grown. And because you haven't tested the market in a decade, you don't know how wide that gap actually is. Consider this. A colleague who left 3 years ago and joined a competitor has had 2 market-rate salary resets since then. They may have left knowing less than you do. They almost certainly earn more. Here's the part nobody warns you about. The longer you stay, the harder it becomes to leave. Not because you're more valuable, but because the organization has become part of your identity. After 10 years, this is not just your job, it's your professional self. Your reputation lives here, your relationships live here, your sense of what you're capable of, your professional confidence has been calibrated almost entirely inside one set of walls. The idea of starting somewhere new, of being unknown again, of rebuilding credibility from zero, it doesn't just feel uncertain, it feels like erasure. And the organization benefits from that. Not through any deliberate strategy, simply because an employee who cannot psychologically afford to leave is an employee who will accept terms they would never have accepted in year 2. Your 10-year tenure is not a negotiating asset, it's a negotiating liability. Because both you and your manager understand that the personal cost of leaving, emotionally, socially, practically, is now higher than it has ever been. The organization is not holding you there. Your own accumulated investment is. You did everything right. You chose stability. You showed up every year. You built something real, relationships, knowledge, a reputation that took years to earn. None of that was a mistake. Those choices made sense when you made them. But here's what the organization never disclosed. Reliability is a service they consume. It is not an asset they compensate. The more reliable you became, the less the company worried about losing you. The less they worried, the less they invested. You did not fail at loyalty. You succeeded at it completely, and the system processed that loyalty exactly as it was designed. So, what actually governs outcomes in this situation? The first rule, external offers are the only salary mechanism that resets the internal baseline. Not performance reviews, not years of service, not feedback scores, not a direct conversation with your manager about how much you contribute. A written offer from another organization, a number on paper reflecting what the current market will pay for your skills, is the only event that forces the internal system to recalculate. The employees who kept pace with market compensation across long tenures are the ones who periodically made themselves visible externally, not necessarily to leave, to know, and to be known. The second real rule is visibility decays with familiarity. The employees who advanced over your decade were not more loyal. They were more legible to decision makers outside their immediate team. They had sponsors, not just managers. They were present in rooms where the people who decide promotions could observe them directly without the filter of long familiarity. Staying at one organization is not inherently wrong, but staying without understanding what staying costs, without tracking your market value, without maintaining external visibility, without knowing how wide that internal pay gap has grown, that's the version of staying the organization was counting on. The map was never handed to you. Now you have it. That's corporate GPS, the map they never handed you.